Greetings, this is August 27th, and we are looking at a map from NASA's World View of the aerosol particles being spread about the planet. We can see over on the left-hand side there's North America and the forest fires, and then down in Africa we have a lot of agricultural fires there. We can also see the fires in Europe, where drought conditions have existed all summer. And we can also see different wind events occurring North Africa, over in Asia, and in the South Pacific. But closer to home, potential for a wind event coming to all areas of British Columbia. We're looking at a satellite image from yesterday showing cloud cover, and that's brought in some precipitation, but there may be clearing occurring, some fresh oxygen coming in. So first, let's take a look at the infrared from the NRC. Still those clusters in the central portion of British Columbia, around the Nechako, the top of the Fraser Plateau. If we zoom in, looking at the 24-hour map, and then if we switch to the 6 and 12-hour maps, still lots of activity in fire pockets, and it appears creep of these infrared hotspots is closer to Uncha Mountain, Red Hills Park. There's still lots of random activity out there. I am seeing some indication of perhaps some controlled activity, but much more random overlaid. The prevalent winds have been coming from the west, the northwest, and I look on these edges to see if there's control signatures in the infrared. That's where planned ignitions may take place. There also appears to be a lot of heat still generated on the southwest side of Binta Lake, and then further to the east of the lake, and just off screen down south at Cheslatta. However, 6-hour map, no new infrared being shown, so that's a good sign that things were taking place kind of in the wee hours of the morning. So I recommend go to the BC Wildfire Service map. Zoom into the area of your concern. Here we are looking south of François Lake. Click on the fire zone and the icon attached. You'll go to a screen. It's going to have a link for more information, and we can read more statistics on that fire, and that there has been a lot of activity going on. A guard's been created from Uncha to Binta. They've been reducing fuel in the area. So use multiple sources of information, multiple sources of data. One of those is windy, very valuable resource. Winds coming from the west, 9 kilometers an hour, kind of west-southwest. There'll be a little bit of variation based on terrain, different gusts, but prevalent from the west. And if we look at the forecast, those are going to increase in velocity tomorrow. That's the forecast. In the morning and in the afternoon. We're getting into the red zone there, up above 40 kilometers an hour, and we're going to have these gusty periods each afternoon. That's where new oxygen can come in, and there can be a threat of flare-ups. So we want to be wary and watch for any movement in the fire flank if it might approach our position. What are the fuel types between us and the fire flank, and what are our escape routes? What resources do we need? Looking at Telegraph Creek, they could see those big wind gusts Friday afternoon. And then if we move down to Karamias, Similkameen, currently 14 kilometers an hour coming from the north, they could see those wind gusts coming from primarily the west, predicted on Wednesday afternoon. I'm also seeing little droplets of water in the icons here, so that means watch for lightning. There could be moisture associated with these winds. But the data for this region is forecasting larger winds than we've seen in a while, up over 70 kilometers an hour, approaching 80 kilometers an hour. And then over in the southeastern corner of the province, northeast, 9 kilometers an hour. Winds are shifting more here. Not as many of those larger gusts, but could bring in some of those drier breezes from the southwest. So winds are a variable. The takeaway is big winds in the afternoon, watch for lightning. And if we go back to the area around Nadina, Grassy Plains, if the wind is coming from the west, that's left-hand side of the screen, and blowing to the right-hand side of the screen, which areas have to be on watch. So collect multiple sources of data for your specific position. And the good news for this area is that there are relatively few or no recent hotspots within the last 6 hours being displayed on this system. Let's jump a little bit northeast to the Shovel Lake fire north of Fraser Lake. We're looking at the 24-hour map. Now the 6-hour to 12-hour map. And now just the last 6 hours. So again here, a reduction in recent hotspots. There's still fire pockets out there. Likewise, if we jump down south here to Cheslatta, seeing fire pockets on the northwest side, and then over to the east, kind of up on top of those hills on the plateaus. And because of the west to east flow of the river valley around Cheslatta, that's going to have effect on the wind patterns as well as what vegetation is in the area. So make a consideration of where your position is based on these fire flanks and anticipating westerly winds gusting potentially above 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers an hour in the afternoons. We're going to take a quick look way up in the northwest part of the province. This is Telegraph Creek, looking at the 24-hour map, and now we're rolling into the 6 and 12-hour maps. There are fewer recent infrared around the community itself, and then when we go to the 6-hour map, no infrared hotspots being displayed on this system at this time. Here's a quick look at the terrain around Telegraph Creek and those infrared hotspots on the southern shore of the river, the community on the upper right of center on the north side of the river. And finally, there have been some interesting atmospheric events occurring associated, I guess, mildly with the Aurora Borealis. There's a group in Alberta, I believe they're called the Thunderbolts. I'll link this article in the description below. They've witnessed and photographed these phenomena where these purple-green streaks go through the air, and scientists with the European Space Agency, I believe, measured this plasma flow. It's 3,000 degrees hotter than the surrounding atmosphere. There's also been a slow increase in the amount of stratospheric radiation that's kind of crept up over the last few decades. And these Steves, as they're oddly called, are not necessarily associated with sunspot activity. It's a different phenomenon, but they are occurring when there's right now a change in the sunspot activity. There are some new cosmic waves approaching Earth, and astronomers are suggesting that this go round they're particularly forceful. They may actually be penetrating a bit of our magnetic shielding. So are all these events related? It's difficult to say, but it is a good time to get out and see the Aurora Borealis if there's a clear sky in your area. And finally, if you like mysteries, ancient mysteries, there's these rocks that have been exposed in the Elba River in the Czech Republic. They're called the Hunger Stones, and legend says, or the inscriptions say, that if you can read this rock, beware, because cold winters are coming. This is associated with drought, lowered river volumes for the Elba River, and they've been documenting this for hundreds of years on these rocks. So just a heads up, verify with your farmer's almanac, and watch windy and watch the weather forecasts. We might get a bit of a cold tinge, or it might be specifically isolated to the climate around those rocks. We might be in the clear here. BC is always beautiful. Thank you very much for watching. I just wanted to give you this quick update, anticipating wind events coming in the afternoon for most areas. Watch out for some lightning. Looks like we could have some precipitation mingled in that. Reduced infrared activity, but around Highway 16, be careful of those winds. But crews, according to BC Wildfire updates, are on it. So thank you very much. to them and to all the volunteers out there. Be safe. Keep your nose to the breeze.